Daniel. Standing firm in Babylon, courage and integrity in a corrupt world. A young captive in a foreign land, surrounded by temptation, yet he refused to compromise. Daniel's story is a lesson of courage, faith, and standing firm in a world that demands conformity. The same faith that kept Daniel will keep God's people today. That's a promise. In Daniel chapter 1 verse 8, the Bible says,
"But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. The greatest want of the world is the want of men, men who will not be bought or sold, men who in their inmost souls are true and honest."
Jerusalem had fallen. Babylon, the mighty empire, took Daniel and his friends as captives. They were chosen to serve in the king's palace, trained in the ways of Babylon, given new names, and expected to eat the king's food. The younger captives were chosen for their wisdom, good appearance, and ability to learn the ways of the Chaldeans.
Among those who maintained their allegiance to God were Daniel and his 3 companions. In the land of their captivity, they were to carry out God's purposes as his representatives.
But we see that Daniel faced a test. The king's food violated God's law. Would he compromise to fit in or stand for his faith? Leviticus chapter 11. It is where we are given the dietary laws that Daniel and his friends obeyed because they were taught in the time they were living in Jerusalem.
The youth in Babylon chose to remain true to the instruction given in childhood. They obeyed the divine law both in word and in spirit.
They obeyed the divine law both in word and in spirit. Not just in word, but both in word and in spirit. That's the time they were taken in Babylon. Daniel purposed in his heart not to defile himself. He and his friends requested a simple diet of vegetables and water. The palace officials doubted them, but after 10 days they were stronger and healthier than all the others. Daniel chapter 1 verse 12 through 15, it tells us the story where these youth, they had a 10-day test of faith, and we see that their faithfulness led to wisdom, and soon Daniel and his friends were 10 times wiser than all the wise men of Babylon because of just the diet they were eating.
In the book of Daniel chapter 1 verse 20, "And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them,
he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers."
True success in any line of work is not the result of chance. God gave Daniel and his companions knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom.
They were put on a test of 10 days, and they were 10 times wiser than those of the Babylon. Years later, Daniel's faith was tested again. Jealousy officials tricked the king into passing a law, prayer to any god, but the king was punishable by death. Daniel chapter 6 verse 7 through 9, it tells us the decree against prayer. But Daniel did not hide. He continued praying 3 times a day as he always had.
Daniel chapter 6 verse 10. "Now when Daniel knew that the writings were signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber towards Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed. He did not try to conceal his act. He saw the danger, but he did not change his course."
For his faithfulness, Daniel was thrown into a den of hungry lions, but God sent an angel to shut their mouth. That means the lions didn't eat him.
Daniel 6:22. My God has sent his angel and has shut the lions' mouth, that they have not hurt me.
The next morning, Daniel was alive. The king declared, Daniel's God is the living God, and the enemies who plotted against him were thrown to the lions instead. Guess what? For them they were eaten. Daniel chapter 6 verse 26 through 27. King Darius' decree recognizing the God of Daniel. And then we see that God did not prevent Daniel's enemies from casting him into the den,
but he kept him unharmed.
Will God allow you to be casted into some problems? Yes. There's some hard situation that the Lord will allow you to go through just because He wants to glorify Himself, or that His name will be glorified. What is the lesson that we learn from this story? Daniel's story is our story today. In a world that demands compromise, will we stand firm when pressured to go against God's truth? Will we remain faithful?
In the book of Romans chapter 12 verse 2, the Bible says, Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The greatest want of the world is the want of men.
Who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall? Like the people like Daniel, the people like Elijah, the people who took the message to others, the people like Martin Luther. Those are the people that are needed in the time we are living in. Like Daniel, stand firm in faith. We shall be, or we shall see what is really so important after you've stood very firm. May the God be with you as you decide to stand on His side. Subscribe for more Bible stories that inspire courage in today's world. See you.